Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Boom! And welcome to the Big Honker Podcast. Did you know? Brought to you by Mallard Bay. Look for a hunt of any kind or an outfitter looking to sell your hunts, get with Mallard Bay at mallardbay.com. Let me go first?
I can go first. So, since it is spooky season, I am going to devote the rest of the time that I have to scary stories, unsolved mystery, or not unsolved mystery, true crime, shit like that. So,
Things of the season.
Yep. So, till after Halloween, this is what you're going to get from my end. This is a story about the boy in the walls.
Gosh dang, that's what I was doing this one on.
I doubt it. So, the year is 1986.
My year I graduated high school.
In a small town of Townsend, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Two girls start to notice a lot of odd things going on at their house. So the items are rearranged. Milk is consumed. And bone-chilling messages like, "Marry me," and "I'm in your room, come and find me," were allegedly scrawled on the walls in mayonnaise and ketchup.
Oof.
The girls were Tina and Karen Bowen. Told their father, Frank, about all the things that were going on, and he attributed it to the girls, playing pranks on one another, and he didn't really think a whole lot about it. That was until the evening of December 8th. They come home. All the TVs and radios are on. They'd been out doing whatever and turned off everything like most people do. All the TVs are blaring. The radios are blaring. Every light's on in the house, and they see a toilet had been used. So obviously somebody had been in their house for sure. So the dad, being the macho man that he is, starts investigating the house, going and turning off lights, checking closets. When he opens a closet, he meets a man, or boy, actually.
In the closet?
In a closet. Wearing a Native American wardrobe. He has his face painted, and his hair is spiked up, and he's wielding a hatchet and a wrench in the other hand. And he escorts them upstairs to a bedroom. The father keeps, there's also, one of their friends is also over there. So there's 3 girls and the father. And he's keeping a little bit of distance between him and the guy and the girls. They get into a room. Well, as they get into a room, Frank slams the door shut between this Mr. Daniel LaPlante, sends one of the girls out a window. She goes over next door, calls 911. When they get there, can't find the kid. They're like, "We had this house surrounded. Like, there's no way he got away from us." So they advise them, "You probably don't need to stay here since we didn't get him." So they leave. 2 days later, the father returns to get a couple things for whatever they were needing because they're not in their house anymore. Upstairs window, he sees Daniel LaPlante. Walks inside the house. And he had written on walls and different photographs, "I'm still here, come find me. And I'm going to kill you." So call 911. They do a thorough investigation of the house, and they saw he had been hiding. There was a little crawl space about 6 inches, and he could weasel his way in, and there was a little triangle inside the walls, basically, and he had been living there for weeks. They found out. So he gets arrested for that, gets out, and then he later kills a nursery school teacher. Gets out from that, while he's on bond from that, maybe he kills Mrs. Somebody's trying to come in. He killed, I can't find her name. Last name's Gustafson. She was pregnant at the time. He broke into her house. He had been stealing things from that house, and then one night he broke in. She was there along with her 2 kids, 7 and 5. He rapes her, shoots her in the back of the head, and drowns both kids in separate bathtubs. He is now serving a life sentence in Massachusetts, somewhere in Massachusetts. So that is, Priscilla Gustafson.
What a weird dude.
So he is locked up.
Good.
So that is the story of Daniel LaPlante, the boy that hid in the walls. So listen, if you got kids that are telling you some creepy shit's going on, listen to them.
Mine's a little different.
I can tell.
Mine's going to be about deaths and construction sites.
Oh.
We just come off the Mackinac Island, and we went across the Mackinac Bridge while we were there, and we made me start thinking about the Mackinac Bridge. Mackinac Bridge which well, we're going to go through the bridges. Which bridge do you think built in America has had the most deaths?
By suicide or just by natural?
No natural deaths.
Golden Gate Bridge. Everybody jumps off of it.
No, we're not talking that. We're talking construction.
Oh.
It's kind of like the suicide rate. Gun deaths are high in America because they put suicide in with them. How many people do what job
during the construction? Bridge?
Which bridge do you think has caused the most deaths? I'm going to give you the bridge. I'm going to give you the.
I'm going to go with the ones in New York because they were built during the 1800s, I guess, and didn't have OSHA back then.
The Brooklyn Bridge is has more deaths than any bridge, and it was 24 when it was built.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that they had one of the biggest problems in the first deaths they had were people getting the bends? Do you know what the bends are?
Yeah,
it's when you're diving. Yes, but it wasn't from diving. They would build these. They called them Cassians, and I'm sure I'm pronouncing it right. And some construction guy's going to call me or tell me what it is. But when they build the holes down, they'd have to block the water off, and it would have to go down in the bed of the riverbed of the East River or whatever the Brooklyn Bridge cross. I think it's the East River, maybe the Hudson River. Anyways, it would go down into it. Well, they had guys got sick in there when they would get really, really sick, and they couldn't figure out what was going on, and they were getting the bends and dying from it because they was pumping pure oxygen down there, and it would make the
inside your blood or whatever.
What is it's in your blood that doesn't. It's carbon dioxide. I think carbon dioxide poisoning. Anyways, and it would killing them. So that's where a lot of the deaths come from until they figured out that that's what it was causing from, and they used goats to figure that out. They put goats down there and they would die, but that's what it was from. It was a dry hole, but they were dying from the bends.
No, what it is I think I'm just looking at a thing here. From when we scuba dive, basically your lungs compress as you go down in the depths of whatever, and then as you come up, if you don't do it at the right time, your lungs will inflate too much.
That's basically what killed them, though. But that's what a lot of the deaths were from the bends, and I didn't know you could get the bends.
I didn't either.
Without being underwater.
Yeah.
But their body couldn't release the carbon dioxide or whatever comes out of the skin. So anyways, there was 24 deaths from them. The second biggest bridge death is the Eads Bridge in the Mississippi River, and there was 15. But they had to fight such a strong current on the Mississippi River, and that is how they got to use the train would go from New York to They had to build the Mississippi Bridge to make that work. And Andrew Carnegie, however you did, he's the one that did it. So they had 15 deaths at the Eads Bridge. The Golden Gate Bridge only had 11 deaths while they built it. Now, they've had hundreds of people have died and jumped off of it, of course. I think it leads with suicides. They had 11 deaths. The Mackinac Island Bridge had 5 deaths.
They do things better in Michigan.
And so it only had 5 deaths, and it was built at a later time. The biggest construction site job in America, what do you think that has caused most deaths of anything in America? Construction site job, building. Not suicides, but the building of it.
I am going to go with a falling wrench.
No, not how. Which building site? Which construction project in the United States being built has had the most deaths?
Okay.
Anything.
Empire State Building.
No, they only had 5 on the Empire State Building. The Hoover Dam.
Well, I don't consider that a building.
That's a construction site. 96 deaths from when they were building it
they wrote about that in Highwayman.
Yes, they did, because you fall into the concrete below.
That's right.
They think there's probably more than 96. They said it could even be double, but 96 documented for sure.
Wow.
And
they're just in there forever.
Yep. Now, the Royal Gorge Bridge, and if you've ever been to it, it's 956 feet above. It's in Colorado. It took 7 months and 80 men built that whole bridge. I've drove across this suspension bridge, and when you drive across it, it's wavy from and it scares the shit out of me. It's one of the safest bridges in the world. 80 men, 7 months to build it, which I think is absolutely remarkable. Built it in 1929, 0 deaths.
Gee.
And that really, really surprised me. Which construction project in the world do you think had the most deaths? And we can't go pyramids because they don't know.
In the world?
Ever in the world built that's in recorded history.
Oh. Let me go with the Louvre.
No. The Panama Canal. The Panama Canal, for every 1,000 men that worked on it, 450 of them died.
What?
Yep.
No.
45.
That's not a real stat.
Yes, it is.
40% of people died.
45% of people died that worked on the Panama Canal between malaria and just the dangerous deal of having to move that water and all that stuff, 45%. So 455 people for every 1,000 that worked on the Panama Canal died.
And they probably work for $5 a day.
Probably in 1900, 1850, whenever they built it, 1890. I don't remember what year they built the Panama Canal, but yes, that's crazy.
They were underpaid.
Very underpaid, but 45% of all workers, 450 of every 1,000 people working on that died.
Jeez.
But malaria wiped out
Right.
like 25 or 50,000 people, I think.
Before the vaccines. Got that yellow fever.
Well, I think they use hydrochlor. Or no, what is it that's in tonic water? No, it's whatever's in tonic water is what gets rid of that. I can't remember whatever the quinine. That's what does it for them. But anyways, I thought that was pretty interesting. Did you know? But that's the biggest construction sites in America, and that's what I went by. But I went by the Empire State Building. It was only 5 people. Surprised me. But when I was driving across the Mackinac Island Bridge, I thought, I wonder how many people died building this.
Right.
It's just amazing to watch the things. We went to the Sioux Locks again, and when you see the Sioux Locks and Sault Ste. Marie, to see those big ships, and big ships are coming and going this time, it's crazy that the stuff that they built in the 20s and 30s, the engineering that they had now, how it works, and they still use the same basic platforms today.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
were ahead of our time.
We were, and I watched a interesting movie coming home on the airplane the other day. I actually watched 2 movies. I watched one going and coming. I watched Bad Boys, the new one.
Ride or Die.
That's really a good show. Good. For usually when they have a series, it's as good as the first or second one. It was really good, so they've done a good job on that. I don't think Fat Martin and Fat Will Smith will be able to do another one, but maybe they can. And then coming home, I watched Midway, which is one of my favorite World War II movies of all time. And that breed of men back then was just absolutely amazing, and the stuff they figured out and they did, and the engineering is amazing. And thank God for them, and God bless all those people, and God bless y'all, and thank y'all for listening to us, and have a great week.
Love you. Bye. Watch for deer. Check out Mallard Bay for all of your booking needs. If you got an outdoor adventure this coming year, this fall, check them out. They can help you out.